It is grim, it is dark. I am looking deathly in the shadows here, but it is no graveyard. We're going to skip on our graveyard introductions today because I am in the midst of getting prepared to build our Demise base. And it is going to be a glorious evil base, I tell you. First of all, let me just show you what I've ransacked from our base here. The very last of our stone supplies. As you can see, I wrangled up a whole bunch of stone to turn into stone bricks for our build. This is 111 stacks and we need 180, which is absolutely bonkers. Now, I remember working on a project that involved a lot of digging and collecting stone earlier in the season, and I stashed a bunch of this stuff away. So I'm going to go gather that up quickly, and while I'm doing that, let's jump over to my camera account. It is I, the ghostly face in the sky, the camera account, and I am looking over what we did in the last episode, setting up this unbelievable platform for a crazy big build to reside on top of. That was a lot of work, but what comes next is going to be even more of a grind. So check out the material list for this build. As you can see, we need astronomical amounts of stone to create all of the stone bricks and its variants. A ton of materials are going to go into this one, and I am going to give you a preview of it. Normally I like to time-lapse things so you can see the end result come to life, but we're just going to do it like this, okay? Is that looking epic? Because it keeps going up and up and up and up. And it looks ghostly as well. Even more ghostly at night. That, my friends, is the build. It's a little bit higher. There we go. Oh, it's going to be absolutely amazing. Just picture it. And here is the view from the grim graveyard with the skull and the phantom and all of the spooky buildings in the area. Yeah, it's going to be absolutely perfect. So the place we're going to get more stone from is the Chunk of Death project. And the way that I usually get out of here is by flying. But the server is very busy at the moment, and that would be an unwise idea. Usually I like to grab my rockets and pop out the side here, but as you can see there are both skeletons and creepers in the same area. That is always a recipe for disaster, so I ain't going to risk it. I believe there is another way to the surface if I wrangle my way around the back here. Yeah, this is what I remember. This scaffolding should take us up to the surface. Aha, now we get to see this beautiful project from up in the sky. Oh yeah, look at all these sea lanterns that I started placing down. I've given up on this because apparently drowns can spawn in any block of water, so the sea lanterns are only stopping spawns down where the light is near the surface, right? So in order for these to block out the spawns of drowns everywhere, they would have to come up into the water above, and so yeah, I kind of gave up on that one. Anyway, this over here is where I stashed away loads of materials, so rather than bring it all back to my base, I decided to leave it here, and then the idea is that I would remember it later on in the season, which we're doing right now, and look at that, we've got some stone over here that we can fish out. So unfortunately, there was only about one shulker box's worth of stone. Not enough to get us all the way there, but Cubfan is helping me with this project as well. We've been working in a creative world to design the build that you saw a moment ago, and so I'm sure he's going to be helping me out with putting it here on the server as well. Also, if you haven't seen this project before, the Chunk of Death, just search for that, Chunk of Death Asuma on YouTube and you can watch the episodes about it. This farm is absolutely amazing and has provided us with an insane amount of drops, which I was coming over here and raiding when we needed all of that scaffolding. Alright, time to start construction. I've put down a few things here and our chests full of stone, which I'm going to use to start building. Then there's a little scaffolding up to here where there's more scaffolding because you're probably going to want to need to pillar all around the place here. Now you can see that the backside is a bit of a facade. It's a bit of a cop-out where all the detail is actually on the front, and that's because we really needed to have made this right here a little bigger, but just with time constraints and making sure you get things done, sometimes you got to wing it and it doesn't quite work out how you hoped. So the back here is simply just going to be a facade for now. Can you dig it? I can certainly dig it. Look how high up in the world we are. This build is ridiculous. Oh, look at that. Like I said though, the backside is kind of a cop-out because we ran out of space on top of these islands, and as you'll see down the bottom here, it's actually a little bit of an overhang, which we're going to sort out later on. And let's just swoop under here and then see the front side, because Cubfan actually came over and started working on that as well. So a little bit of the base here has been done, and that took me over 70 minutes alone, and there's so much more detail that's going to be happening here on the front. But anyway, if we focus on the side here for a moment, you can see that the width of the building is kind of lopsided, right? There's a lot more going on the front in terms of depth. And also, this thing has been kind of positioned so there's more rooms for gardens and decorations like dead trees and stuff over here, which means that the end just doesn't have room for detail and stuff. And you know what? That's alright, because you're not really going to see as much of that. We are now going to take a break from that building to work on another building, the idea building, and do two projects over here that are long overdue. And first of all, I want to ask you, is it obvious? Can you see it? I think anyone wandering through here paying attention would notice it, right? It's right there. It's a button. We're going to press that button in just a moment. But first of all, I want to kind of get your bearings, okay? So back in this area is the main Hermit Island, many miles that way. And then around the corner here is the new Hermit area. There is a portal to the gaming area just through there. And then over here, there is the other area. By the way, what on earth happened here? It kind of looks like a creeper exploded. And I tell you what, you know, you got to tidy up after yourself in life. I don't know what's going on here, but yeah, it's clearly not good. And I always tidy up after myself whenever there's a creeper explosion or something like that. Anyway, the question that I wanted to ask you was, where would you think a portal to idea would be? I thought it would be sort of off in this direction. It's kind of weird how you lose your bearings when you travel through the Nether and move through other places. But yeah, I go through that portal and then I fly over to idea, and it's actually in the opposite direction this way. And that's why there's a button here, because we've got a secret entrance. Alright? It's very simple and plain, but it gets the job done. And yes, okay, I did lock myself in this room and then realized that I needed a way to get out. So that's why there's a button here. It goes up to the top there and, yeah, unpowers that redstone torch. This is just the classic door design that you've probably seen a gazillion times. So through here, we now got a portal to take us to idea. And here it is in the back area, and that's why it was hidden behind a secret door, because it's our own little utility portal for the three of us. The other thing I wanted to work on is this entrance area. It's been left flat, plain and open for far too long, and we need to build like a beautiful exotic garden, and then we need to sort out the path leading up to the idea build, because the build itself looks great, but it always needs a little bit more than that around it, right? And I'd also like to come in here and mess around with these boxes. You see, we started off with a really great design here, and then we haven't finished mirroring it all the way around. So I'm going to chop down some spruce trees, get more of these trapdoors in place, and then instead of just the berry bushes and the ferns, I think what I'm going to do on the front side is a whole bunch of different flowers, so it's nice and colourful. Beautiful, beautiful. Decided to just put 5 flowers on each of these, different little combinations, and it just brings in a spruce of colour around the front here that looks gorgeous. So now what we're going to do is turn our attention to the area behind us. I've got a really good idea of how this is going to come together. So I think what we're going to look to do is to make a lawn out the front here, but we're also going to break it up by making some flower beds. These ones will be slightly different from the last ones. They're just going to be made out of stone bricks, so they're going to add as a sort of buffer between the grass and the path. But we're going to space them out as well so you can walk between those. So the next one would be like here, and then we'd have some grass in between. And of course, the main path though would lead down the middle here, so then there'd be a big gap on this side, and your next little flower bed thing would be somewhere around here. We also got to fit in some trees as well, not entirely sure how that's going to go down. And have I actually done this right? I think I might have to use grass, although it's not the right colour grass. We want more of that colour grass for our lawn because it would mix better with these materials. But anyway, we can put down stone, and then we can hide glowstone for light sources around here as well by covering it with carpets, and so we can have stripes like that, which I think would look okay. We probably need to actually break some of this up. Okay, this is more of the approach that we need. We've created our stripes, and then we're going to have lots of light sources, so nothing spawns on here. Occasionally just carpets on top of regular blocks, because they just kind of create that little bit of height, that little bit of a dark shade to kind of break up the flatness of it. It also occurs to me as I spread this out to the side, we're going to have a path come in through the middle from all the way over there, and it might be better if I stripe these in the other direction. I am really not sure. I think we're going to stick with it, and behind me you can see I've put in all of the flower pots. They're all evenly spaced out, they wrap around perfectly, which makes me very happy. I might make this bit over here a little bit wider, but anyway, coming back to these stripes, I realised that we need to use the grass over here. I think it's going to look so much nicer. If it's grass instead of the powder, it looks good. If it's grass instead of wool, it's not as good, and then I realised my mind is made up for me because I need to be able to use carpets to hide light sources. So we're going to ditch the power and go with the grass. And I just said power, didn't I? Powder. We're going to ditch the powder. So I am wondering, is this all just a little too uniform, a little bit too stripy? Do we need some variations in here? I think you get away with it if I want to throw down some carpets in between, so I might just go around and do that. But I'm happy with this design, it's pretty good. I originally planned on having the path run through the middle of this, but now that I put this all down, I think we're going to have a diagonal path to this corner here. So if we mirror this and turn it to the side, and have it cover all of this space, then it's going to kind of converge with a bunch of diagonal lines. So that could be where we actually cut up the grass and have the path come in at an angle. There is still a long way to go with this, but I'm glad we put in time to do the grind because it's looking real neat and tidy. And as much as I like that, it does need breaking up a little bit. There's more that's going to come to this. We're going to have bushes and trees around the outside. We need to tidy up the borders here as well. But so far, so good. I'm really pleased with that, and I can't wait to see what the other two think of it, because it feels like a real nice entrance to our store. Over on this side, though, you'll notice that the path kind of wraps around, and I've started to connect up the entrance to what was going to be a restaurant area, but we were talking about maybe expanding and having a second shop for all of the stock that we're buying up over on this side. But we're done here at Idea for today. It's time to get back to the Demise team's base, known as the Deadquarters. So, packed up all of my shulker boxes, and believe me, there are many of them. Sort of carrying an army around of them with me at the moment. And about to start work on this, and I've got an announcement to make. We're going to do a couple more live stream days during December. It's been absolutely ages since we've done these before, so I'm going to put it on your screen while I get set up over here. You can see it's the 7th and the 15th off the top of my head, or is it the 8th? It'll be written correctly on the screen. Those are the 2 Sundays of this month that we're going to do live stream days, and as you can see, there's a bunch of us hermits streaming back to back. So if that interests you, then put it in your calendar, as I always say, and if you want more information and links to where the live streams are, head over to livestream.hermitcraft.com. So I hope to see you on both of those Sundays, but right now it's time for a progress update that I've had no hand in whatsoever. It just so happens when I last recorded, I then had to go and log out immediately after. It's very busy for me this time of year, and just feels like more and more things are pulling me away from playing my favourite game. But look at this right here. Cubfan logged on and obviously did some building, and the design is absolutely gorgeous. The two of us worked on this together. He came up with these really nice fronts here with the windows, and I sort of figured out the bits in between on the side, and it's such a lovely build, and I can't wait to get stuck in here and do some building. But first of all, just wanted to comment on some holes in the bottom here. Now, we don't have any terrain below it at the moment, but when we do that, we're actually going to have water leaking out of the building, going down over the edges and also making their way down to the bottom there. It's going to look seriously cool. But obviously what we need to do right now is more building, and this time I need to do some of it. All props to this guy again. It looks like we're building the roof now, and I've just had one of these days where every time I sit down to play, something happens and I have to leave the computer, and I've just logged on. I've got like 10 minutes to contribute, and so I'm going to try and build a little bit of the side over here, but it looks like Cub's just on the server powering through, and this build is probably going to be complete. Yeah, I'm going to have enough time in the evening to complete it if Cub doesn't. It is done, my friends. Top to bottom, absolutely beautiful. I was just placing the very last bricks up there with Cubfan. We were going around just doing this together, hammering it out, and it is an incredible build, right? What I want to do next is just shore up that the inside is spawn-proof. There are some blocks here that I didn't account for not having slabs on. The way we designed the building on the outside means nothing will ever spawn in it, so it doesn't need lighting. And of course we're going to build a base inside of here, so we need to make sure it's spawn proof, and that's going to be the next step. Oh, how I wish I was recording, because I wasn't even looking up, and then there was a creeper standing on the ledge that I am trying to spawn proof. Brilliant. Yeah, it just wrecked this bit of the build right here. I think this is mostly flat with a couple of stair blocks, so it shouldn't be too difficult to repair. You know when you break scaffolding to go down, you can do it like this? Then you end up taking damage. You do get down faster. If you just hold and click on the edge like that, you see you pick up every little bit of scaffolding as you make your way down, and you don't take any damage as well. It's pretty cool. Cubfan, I also think we're done. Yeah, we've gone round all the insides here, and I think all of it has been slabbed. So, next step now I think that I want to focus on is the overhang up here. Now, wherever this line right here kind of goes to the outside, that's where we'll have like some terrain that could represent a garden. So here on the middle, the wall is just floating above nothing. So we kind of need a way to bring it inwards, down and across over to this bit here. And I think we're just going to use like a gradual slope of slabs. So we'll probably start off with setting up some scaffolding support like this so that we can hang out underneath here and do some building. And I think Cub has the same idea as well. We're just on the same page. Like, we're not even in a call or anything. We're just kind of reading each other's minds here, I think. So this bit on this side has been kind of caved in. Right here in the middle, I did actually make a bit of a divot that we should be able to see from the other side. Not going to focus too much on this, though, because we put so much effort into this stuff. Yeah, what you're about to see isn't going to be that remarkable. So, fatal mistake. I left the scaffolding on. And to get a good view of this, we need to be underneath it. Now, due to the shape of the islands, it kind of makes it look like this thing is off to the side when you focus on these two ridges. And I tried to put a structural thing here in the middle that just kind of exaggerates it and really actually takes away from the build. I think this just literally needs to be plain slabs all the way across. And again, Cub is here with me, just helping me do all of this. Right, we've miscounted here. It's 3 each time, so these ones are going to go. Right, and there's a bit of quirkiness down the bottom here, but hey, we're overthinking it at this point. Let's get rid of this scaffolding. Bye-bye. And we've got to work on the other side. And here's how it's going to look at the front. Just gone for stairs here, going straight down, so that's pretty slick looking. And that's how it's going to attach itself to the island. I've just flown straight up again. It's so difficult to maneuver into the right angle. Yeah, there you go. That's how it's going to connect to the island. I think I'm posing for a thumbnail with Cub. I'm not sure, but I've just been standing next to him for a while talking about looking up at the people that are watching. That's you, by the way. That's you. Look, we're looking up at you. My friends, I think what we need next is some podzol. We're going to be working on the topsoil around the outside of this building on top of the island, and we're going to be getting the dead team together for what might actually be our first meeting with as many of us as we can, because now we've got to plan out the inside of the base, right? That'll all be happening in the next episode. If you've enjoyed this one, then leave a like. As always, thank you so much for your support, and I'll be seeing you soon with another episode of Hermitcraft. So ciao for now. Bye-bye.